Hey everybody, it's Dr. Strong, and I just want to make a quick video to tell you what's different about the upcoming training that I have. So the training will be taking place on December 7th, Monday night at 7 p.m. So in that training, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth than I will in this video, just talking about what makes the training unique. And so I just kind of want to give you a snapshot right now. So weight loss is kind of like a big mystery for most people. You know, a lot of people go up and down, or they're not able to maintain it forever, or they have another issue. Maybe they don't know how to get there, or they try a crazy diet only to have repercussions, you know, a couple of months later or something like that. So with my patients in my clinic, and it's taken me a long time to kind of understand this, but with my own weight loss journey, especially when I was a kid, I was around 200 pounds, and then, you know, going through the stresses of doctorate school and going through just life in general, and then working with hundreds of patients, I've noticed some key factors. If you don't know, I am also a functional neurologist, which means that I just understand the brain and how it works a lot better. And then I've also studied a little bit of just like human psychology and how it works and how we can use that to our advantage. So let's just talk about it. And what I call it is I call it brains, behaviors, and balancing hormones. Okay? So if you look at how this works, then you have the brain, and then you have a little area right here called your anterior pituitary. Okay? Now, as it comes down the chain, this little piece of your brain is responsible for a lot of your hormonal responses. So what happens is it regulates cortisol, it regulates like all of your sex hormones, especially in women, like your follicle stimulating hormone, your luteinizing hormone. It also regulates your thyroid hormone. So the oxytocin, you know, the love hormone. So it does a lot. And this part of the brain is very key to, if we understand its function, then what we can do, we can use it to correct dysfunction, right? So most of you have probably been to a doctor and they're like, we don't know what's going on. Take this medication. They probably didn't counsel you on dietary or really see like what your function is, right? And I see this pretty commonly. And what I've also seen with all more holistic practitioners as well is this comes down, and I'm just going to make this super simple, but you have your adrenal glands, which sit on top of your kidneys, right? So these secrete cortisol. Okay. And what happens is cortisol will actually, if you look at the pathway, progesterone gets converted to cortisol. And then you also have your other sex hormones, and this isn't like accurate drawing everything, but this will rob your estrogen and testosterone pathways. Okay, so most people come here and they say, oh, well, we need to give you pregnenolone, which is a precursor, so preg, and then also DHEA. And that's correct. So they're doing really good to re-regulate all these, because these sex hormones are basically what give you vibrance and give you life. So if you're depleted in these, then you're not going to feel as vibrant as you could. So like when we're teenagers and we're going through kind of that puberty stage and you feel like you can take on the world, that's what is happening. You're really boosting up all of these sex hormones. But as we kind of go throughout life and just the daily stressors, we end up converting more of it to cortisol, right? Because now you're an adult, you've got a family, you've got a job, you've got all these responsibilities. And so it robs these pathways. So now your vibrance or your vitality goes down. And a lot of traditional medical practices look here, here, and here. And they're like, oh, well, you've got an issue, you've got low estrogen, let's give you estrogen. Or you've got low T, let's give you testosterone. But the problem is, well, what are your cortisol levels? Are you making so much cortisol that you're robbing this? And, you know, it's kind of putting the cart before the horse. So you're just putting it there, but you're never really fixing the problem. So you're giving them the ability to function, but could they function better if you rebalance this, this, and this? Okay. So that's what most functional medicine practitioners will come in here and they'll give you like pregnenolone, DHEA, they'll give you B vitamins, they'll give you other precursors to these sex hormones, which is even better. Coach you on lifestyle factors to bring this down because it's elevated. But what I have found is that what we can also do is we can come in here and we can intervene, because this controls this, okay? And then this feeds back up into the pituitary. So why is this important? Why can we come in and do intervention in the brain? So what we can do is we can actually drive frontal lobe function, which frontal lobes are what make you pretty much human. So they're a lot of your rationale, your ability to decide, to make decisions. And a lot of time this gets screwed up because your brain is like, oh, family, it's like kids, it's like jobs, it's all these different things. So you get really skewed and this gets really fatigued, so it actually decreases. But what we can do is we can actually come in and boost your frontal lobes up. And then this also dictates your midbrain. Your midbrain dictates this. So if there's a problem in this loop, we can actually come in and stimulate the brain to come down and re-regulate this. And then we've got a more full cycle plus giving you this stuff. So how do we do this? How do we boost frontal lobe function? You're probably wondering. How I do it is, this is one of the reasons I started the private Facebook group, right? So what we can do is community is a big one. So we give you a community that you can rely on. We also give you positivity instead of negativity. So I tell everybody, don't watch the news. Don't be around people that are going to bring you down. We do affirmations, journaling, and all the science behind this is coming out more and more, right? So I try to be on the front end of what's new and what's the latest so that we can give you the best possible chance to get better faster, right? So all of these things come in and then we can boost frontal lobe function. Okay, and then, so now let's talk about behaviors. So why, let's say you lose weight for a little while only to gain it back. And then you lose weight for a little while only to gain it back. And that's a behavior, right? Which is also controlled by this. And this is what this is going to look like. So I'm sorry, I know there are arrows everywhere. So behaviors come from your brain, and there are a lot of learned patterns. And I have a technique that I like to use, and I use it for kids that have like ADD, ADHD. I'll use it to drive like behavior patterns in kids, to drive like eye movements if they have trouble reading at school. And I actually have really good success with this. But what I've also found is that I can use this for weight loss as well, because it's a pattern a lot of the times. And it's like that overeating or binge eating or anything like that, because I suffered with it as well. And, you know, that's part of the reason I went into medicine, to understand why I was having those issues. And that's why I went in and studied functional neurology, so that I could understand the brain, because it just makes sense if you look at the overall picture, right? It's not just, oh, well, it's because you have a low testosterone, or it's not just because your cortisol levels are increased. It's an overall encompassing picture. So how do you change behaviors? And I do it through what's called neurocognitive reprogramming. And I use this to retrain those behaviors that I've learned that I want to get rid of, right? So It's like every night if I go to grab for something sugary or a snack cake or cereal or something like that, now what I do is I retrain myself not to do that. And that's a little bit more complicated than this video. If you want to know more about that, just comment below or like this and just ask questions and I can answer them. And that'll also be covered in the live training that I'm going to be doing. So I just need a little bit more time to prepare and get everything. But back to this. So now we've got the brain. So we've got brain, and then we've done the balancing hormones. And then how do we change your behavior? Well, that's through this neurocognitive reprogramming. And you're probably thinking, you're like, what are you talking about? But do you ever feel like you're not in control of your binge eating or overeating? Do you feel like it's almost like an automated response? Like you just happen to you're just like blank, and then you go back and you wake up and then there's like a snack cake or a cake in your hand, or there's like a bowl of cereal, or something like super sugary and sweet, and you're like, oh man. And then it's like a second bowl appears, and then a third one, and then a fourth one, and you're like, where's this coming from? And you're like, stop. So I get it, and that's what I went through. And so yeah, you may have done that's why exercise and dieting, I talk about those. It's like, it's not always the problem. It is a component, but I think that there is more to the picture, and that's why I wanted to make this video. So I don't want to make this super long, but I just wanted to give you kind of an overview of my philosophy and how I'm changing how we think about weight loss, how we think about patient care, and how we can make it better. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you like it, please hit the like button. If you have a question, please comment below. If you want something else, me to kind of cover anything, or if you want me to elaborate even more on anything, just comment below on what you would like to know about. I like having the comments because it gives me topics that I can cover that you guys actually have questions about, rather than just doing something random. But this is kind of my overall encompassing work that I've figured out over the years of going through school, experimenting with myself, what works, what doesn't, and then also with my current patients and how we get results. So I hope you found this video enlightening, and I'll see y'all next time. Have a good day. Bye.